Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a sleep physician. And if you have insomnia, this channel is for you. Ellen had 3 good nights followed by a sleepless one. In this scenario, it's easy to try to figure out why that 4th night was so poor. But the more attention you give it, the more you delay your ultimate recovery. The best way to think of an outlier night like that one is as a hiccup. Extremely excited to have you back here. Hope you're doing fantastic today. And if you are new to this channel, then a big welcome to you. I'll say this right away that if you like this is the first ever video on the channel you're watching, you know, some of the concepts here may be a little, beyond where you should be starting. So I think still very, very well helpful, this one. Very important video for everyone. I think it's a lot of value here. But if you're new again, you might want to check out like the first couple episodes where I go over the basics of overcoming insomnia. Now, I'm gonna be a little bit back and forth here, but again, I think a lot of valuable things here. So I'm gonna read 2 things from this excellent book, Bedtime Stories by Slasher Stevens. It is her 3rd book. Her first book, The Effortless Sleep Method, is really good, and that's a good place to start if you want to start with a book. This one's also very, very good, but more of a follow-up. Now, I'm going to read two brief segments from this book, then go over a very recent email conversation with Ellen, and we'll see why I want to start here and go over to those emails and how this could apply to you. So, firstly, I just want to read this thing. It's on episode 36. It's a little passage called "Focus on the End Result." If you're trying to walk to a destination in the far distance, you don't stop every time you stumble over a stone. You don't focus on the stone, worry about the stone, and say, now, why did that happen? Why did I do wrong? No, you pay no attention to the stone, refocus on where you're headed, and keep going on. Why worry about one bad night rather than all the good ones waiting for you in the distance? Really good one. And I also want to read one on page 148, Turn Frustration into Triumph. Sometimes you can be doing really well. Sleep has been great for weeks. Then for no reason, a bad night comes along and then another. Disaster question mark? Not at all. If a bad patch comes along just when everything was going well, this is great news. This means that it's been ages since your last bad night. Neither of this is exactly what's going on to Ellen, but these passages really, really helpful. So let's read this email that I got from Ellen. Was it yesterday? I believe it was. If it was, in fact, yesterday. Yes, here we go. So Ellen wrote to me with a little intro there and then a question. Here we go. A question. I've been doing better the past few days with stringent CBTI. For the first time in 9 months, 3 days in a row, I started to nod off while reading at 11:30 and then was able to fall asleep right away. Very encouraging. But yesterday, I wasn't able to fall asleep until 3 a.m. and didn't really have any perception of sleepiness even then. I kind of suspect that this could happen because I didn't doze off in front of the TV between 8:30 and 9, as I always do, just for a few minutes. It was nice for a change, but I suspected there wasn't much sleep drive last night. My husband, who usually falls asleep at 11, had the same issue, not getting sleep until 3 a.m. The thing we had in common yesterday was that we went to movie theater, which we never do except for Metropolitan Opera broadcasts, which we love. We both dozed off for a few minutes. I wouldn't think 5 minutes of dozing at 1 p.m. would really impact your sleep drive 11 hours later, but sitting in the dark for almost 4 hours, question mark. We were there from 12 to 4. Could that throw off our circadian rhythm? Just curious. We aren't going to stop going. We've done it for 10. There's only 10 a year. I've survived a lot more than 10 sleepless nights over the last year, so I know it's doable. Just like to learn. So at that point in time, I saw the pattern here. Ellen has had 3 good nights that she hadn't had for a long time, followed by one, pretty much sleepless one. So I'm going to read my reply here. I'll reply at length, but I just want to say something that I think is really important quickly. The 3 days you slept well, that's amazing. That's the news here. That's what we should celebrate and think about. The night you and your husband were up all night, that's a hiccup. The more attention it gets, the more you try to figure it out, the more likely sleep gets worse, because insomnia feeds off attention. The more we think about our trouble sleeping, the more we try to figure out what's going on, etc., the worse it gets. So just iterating this again, like in Ellen's case here, 3 good nights followed by a sleepless one. Focus should be on those 3 good ones. And by the way, Sasha Stevens, who wrote this book I just read from, she takes it even further. She said you should almost like obsess about the good ones, like tell everybody about it, write it down, etc. Which maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit too far, but still, attention should be on the good ones. That poor night is just a hiccup, and it's just demonstrating to you that you are getting better because you had a stretch of good nights, which is new, and that is the good news. So we have follow-up here. I'm really excited to read this to you as well, which I just got 7 hours ago. It turned out that Saturday night was a hiccup. Last night was all I want and need in terms of sleep. I still want world peace and politicians to be compassionate, intelligent, and honest. Well, I started to nod off at 11:30 with even my book dropping, my ultimate sign of sleepiness, something I thought I would never experience again. Fell asleep within a minute, slept 6.5 hours. It was so helpful for you to phrase it as a hiccup. We all get hiccups. They aren't lethal. They almost always end eventually. There have been a few outliers who made the Guinness Book of World Records for hiccups that lasted 68 years, but most of us never experienced that. This helps me stop the story of I'm an insomniac, I can't ever sleep. The story loses its power to just say, having the hiccups tonight, I'll be glad when they're over, but in the meantime, I can be happy in spite of them. So I think that what happened to Ellen, very, very important, something really important happened here. She regarded this night when that was nearly sleepless as kind of the outlier, the hiccup, and she's doing better. There will probably be more hiccups, but as long as you do a kind of as describing the example, look far ahead. If a hiccup comes along, you little stumble, something, don't focus on it, just keep on going. And this happens a lot. Bobby, by the way, had a very similar situation. I don't know if I made a video about that or not, but Bobby's same thing happened to him and many, many others. So when you have a good stretch, something happens, just focus on the good part of this. So really, really important thing I think here. Hope this was helpful to each and every single person that is listening to this or watching this. And if you have any questions, please send me an email, daniel@insomniainsight.co, or leave a comment. And I hope to have you back here real soon. Until then, ciao, ciao.